Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got David Mahoney, and today we're going to talk about the truth on what's going on with Iran. Both myself and David have been in touch with Iranian families who have information on what's going on there. We're going to speak about Greenland and Trump. David, thank you so much for joining me. How are you, and what have you been up to?
I'm very well as usual, Nick. Excited to come on and have our little bi-weekly chat. Tons going on. I haven't traveled at all, just some internal stuff with inside Spain. But what a weird, well, I don't even think weird is the right word, really. It's just such an odd time that's going on because, what we've been through since the lockdown and then the elections and then Trump getting back in, it's just continuing and continuing. But it's just weirder and weirder. There's also another thing I forgot to talk about this event that's being predicted in August 12th, Nick. Do you know about this, the Gravity event?
The August 12th. What is the Gravity event? Tell us more about that.
Well, we'll get into that. I totally forgot to mention it before we start recording.
Yeah.
So, according to a secret report released by NASA at 2:33 p.m. London time on August the 12th, I'm pretty sure it's August 12th, the world's gravity is going to turn off for 7 seconds. Now, this is because there's two black holes and a gravity anomaly that's going to happen. It's going to hit the planet and all gravity will cease for 7 seconds, which means anything that's not tied down is going to float up. So in 7 seconds, you can probably get to about 18 to 25 meters high. So you're talking buses, trucks, cars, anything of...
How about all the furniture in your houses? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. Yeah,
the report was leaked.
My gut's telling me no.
Well, this is where we're going to investigate, Nick, because that story is going to gain momentum. I had a really big twitch about that. Now, my big twitch is people are going to want to know the truth about it. So I've actually got quite a few psychics investigating it. I started that call yesterday to say, hey, feel into this, read into this. What's the reason behind it? But there's quite a few people talking about it on Instagram. Now, we can't verify that it's true or not, but the report seems to be legitimately from a good source that has normally got pretty good information from NASA. So we don't know if it's true yet, but as things progress, we still have another 6 months. It's actually in August, so we still have minimum 6 months to see what else we can get at. But just the reason I mentioned it, Nick, is just keep your ears and eyes open for any updates on that story. Yeah, and we'll move on. We won't spend time on that one, but it is a weird one. That's all of a sudden gravity is going to stop for 7 seconds because of two gravitational forces from two black holes colliding. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I can research that as well. I want to research it on my back end.
Keep an eye out.
No pun intended. So let's talk about Iran. What's going on with Iran? Apparently, they've switched off the internet. The leader is gone crazy. I think it's because, from what I understand from the families that I speak to, because I've got some Iranian friends here, and they've got a lot of family in Iran, and they're saying they can't contact them. They've switched off the internet. They're killing lots of people, including lots of babies. And I think all this is to do with them saying free Palestine.
Well, I don't know about the free Palestine, but this is what I know. I had a 2-hour coffee meeting with an Iranian woman today. I've known her for about 6 years, this woman. Now, she's got family members, and here's what happened last week, Nick. Nobody could contact anybody last week. So apart from when you rang a phone number, a cellular number in Iran, it was answered in English by an AI voice saying, hello, who are you trying to talk to? I will get a message to them. Tell me their names. So that was very suspicious. So people are not leaving their names who they're trying to talk to. Okay. So they set up an AI answering system for any outside calls coming into Iran. Then the locals have been using Starlink systems to get messages out through various platforms and emails and WhatsApp, for example. But the government then started searching to see where are these satellite dishes being held. So the people are only switching them on for a very short time to get some urgent messages out. And now there's some strange cellular service where you can buy airtime. It's $100 for 1 minute. So you got 60 seconds for $100 to get messages about your friends and family and loved ones, but people are getting news. But here's the scary stuff. The demonstrations are still going on, but what's happening is the Iranian government are using helicopters and drones, and they're dropping some sort of strange poison that takes around 20 days to become effective. So imagine this, you're outside on the street and you're demonstrating, all of a sudden you're being airdropped with something you don't even know that it's particularly harmful. But it takes about 3 weeks for it to kick in. So the statistics of how many people are actually dying is way down to what the real numbers are, because the government is saying, oh, that had nothing to do with us. This person died at home. Now, a lot of the bodies are not being returned to the families either, because the government is saying you need to pay quite a lot of money to get your bodies back. There's about 5,000 US dollars, which in Iranian currency, you could buy a house for that. A lot of the bodies that are being taken away, because when the body obviously dies, you have to call the authorities, and then the body is taken away, and they have to prepare it for burial. It's the same as any other civilized country, but the body's not coming back because they're saying, well, we're not giving them back, and the statistics are being artificially held down. Now, the demonstrations are still going on. The public facilities are still functioning, more or less. There's still power in most of the place. But the Ayatollah's henchmen are still trying to enforce this strict curfew laws and lockdowns. But on an energetic level, the power of positive thinking is extremely powerful, and people don't realize this. So what they're trying to do, Nick, is they're trying to keep everybody living in fear and lack and all this concern and worry and fear, because this generates the right sort of energy that they need to continue this wrath of power and dictatorship. But the people are rising up, the young people specifically, are forcing their way to the top. And with this joint motivation of positivity, they are seeming to get a foot forward. But most of them are still calling and making it very loud and very clear. Because of what happened in Venezuela with Trump going in there and kidnapping Maduro, they're asking for Trump's assistance to come and take down the Ayatollah. Now, there was a rumor that the Ayatollah had fled to Russia. The Ayatollah's compound has been stormed, which has made him seriously pissed off. And for anybody that's wondering what is the Ayatollah, it's a who is the Ayatollah. He is the supreme leader. That's what he likes to be called. Every time you have to address him, you call him the supreme leader. So it's a 50-50 whether he's actually, if he actually has fled Iran and held up in Russia, because the Russian government have got a pretty good relationship with the Iranians because of the oil treaties going on between both of them. I believe they're neighbors on one border as well, aren't they?
David, let's go back a little bit, because there's a lot of people watching, and they just, your information is like really good, really advanced. There's people, I want to simplify it a little bit. What's the mainstream media? What's their narrative about what's happening in Iran? And 1 minute versus what is really going on? Let's compare the two.
Well, I haven't been watching the mainstream media, but I know that I haven't really been covering it, Nick. So where are all the demonstrators when Free Palestine is out there, when all this is going on? Iran is in the middle of a revolution. They're trying to push Islam out. They're trying to get rid of that whole regime. They want their freedoms back. It's 47 years since the Ayatollah took over and the original revolution took place. So the mainstream media are not really covering it. They're not giving it the seriousness it deserves, as far as I can gather. And also, there's no demonstrations. There's no, okay, let's send some aid and get some medicines and supplies to Iran.
Are they not talking about it at all? Are you saying that it's similar to how they were keeping quiet about Palestine?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Now, I would imagine that this is something to do with Zionists being involved there, because they absolutely cannot stand Iran. So this entire group is waiting for this whole downfall to happen. But what's confusing about it, Nick, is if the people, and including the Zionists, are looking to have Iran taken down, you would think that they would be giving more support to the revolutionary forces, which is mostly young people. But it's all very, very quiet. So it's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. I haven't figured that out either, because they should be saying, come on, let's all get behind Iran. Let's get some aid and medicines and some financial help to them, because they're all suffering. But they're not. It's because Iran's been monstricized. I don't know if that's even a real word, saying, Iran was always the monster. But I think there's some political moves going on there now, because it has a vast array of oil, Iran. It's got a lot of oil. and it's one of the major key players in that entire region. So whoever it ends up being in control of Iran is extremely volatile. So if it falls back into the hands of Islamic extremists, or does it become a democracy? And then who's going to step up and put Coca-Cola in hamburger stalls everywhere?
Let's
It's
talk
hard to
about
understand.
let's talk about the tweet or the truth post that Trump made regarding um, the Iran leader has, stopped 800 I think, I don't know who, 800 military or hostages from being hanged on that day. Did you remember that?
No, I don't. I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, basically, something's going on. I feel like Trump's getting a little bit involved. I feel like he
Yeah,
can get
I
more
do.
involved, but he's not doing it right now. A bit like what he did with Venezuela. So I feel like he's playing a tactical game here where he's testing the waters with Iran. Maybe when Trump thinks it's correct to do so or the right time to do so, maybe he will take out the Iranian leader as well. What do you think about that?
Well, I think he's actually watching what's going on. He can't be seen to be just marching in there and doing it like in the old days when they'd walk into Libya or Afghanistan or Iraq. Trump needs to be seen as being either the liberator or the helper. So if he's going to take out, all he has to do is take out the top people. Then look, let's face facts. The technology that the US government possess as far as being able to get access to these people. If you think they don't know where they are, the government knows exactly where all these guys are 24 hours a day. They could send a missile up somebody's nostril, Nick. They know exactly where they are. But the problem is, when you do this, you destabilize the entire region and not just the country, because if you take out this leader, who's going to step in place? Yes, you've got the son of the original Shah, who's really supportive. Come on, people, come on, people, we got to do it. We're nearly there, we're nearly there. So he's getting ready to go back in there. But I think Trump is watching very carefully, because whoever does eventually, whatever does happen eventually to Iran, it really depends on, because of its strategic location, who's going to be able to stay in control of that country. Because if it goes back into the hands of another Islamic extremist, you've got ISIS, you've got all these fundamentalist groups that are active all over Syria, they're active in Jordan, they're active in towards Israel. So we know that Israel controls a lot of these decisions there. So I think they're just biding the time. You know what? Maybe they're going to just let all the hard work get done and then go at the end and do a sweep up operation.
Mm.
It's fascinating times though, because in my lifetime this has never happened so much. The 47 years of being a regime run by lunatics. I mean, literally, lunatics. If you see how the government is set, I could talk about Iran for a long time, but some of the rules and how they make government decisions are just it
Mm.
beggars belief. There's a hole in the ground that they go there and get secret whispers coming out the caves, and it's like, what? That's how you run your government? It's just idiotic.
Well, the other thing I want to talk about is Iran's currency, because it's just gone down to it's worth $0 now. And
Yeah.
ever since this has been going on, their currency has dropped to zero. And I'm thinking, like what you just said, we're going to see things that have never happened before, even Venezuela.
Mhm.
I'm thinking that we're going to see the not right now, but what I see happening is, and this is just my opinion, that eventually when things correct itself and the good guys slowly get in, things get exposed, their purchasing power corrects itself too, with all the oil that was stolen, the gold that was found, and all of that. I reckon that their currencies will be have a lot of purchasing power, and it will correct itself because it has been heavily inflated by currency manipulation. What do you think about that? Because we're seeing everything go down to zero. I see it has to go one way up.
Yeah, well, yes and no, I'm going to say to that. If we look back at history, what happened during Germany, for example, World War II, and a few other countries that their currency collapsed, um, it was reset, and they had to take a lot of zeros off it. Turkey's done it several times. They just shaved zeros off the notes. But in these days now, Nick, when we got digital currencies, what'll happen is there'll be what's the currency called in Iran again? Is it the rial?
The real, the
Rial.
Iranian real, yeah.
Yeah, it is real, isn't it? So the Iranian real will be fixed against a digital currency real, which will be fixed against gold or even a barrel of oil, because in that future market, it's going to be, what is the biggest commodity they have in Iran? I would hazard a guess it's going to be oil. So paper money, it's just another excuse for them to get rid of the paper money, isn't it? Because like in Venezuela, the paper money is just worth nothing. People make souvenirs out of it, little swans and little boats and things. So the Iranian money will then be revalued against a digital currency. Then they'll probably print some new stuff and take all the zeros off it. But it's definitely a country I can see. It's like every situation is like that in life, Nick. It cannot get better. You don't realize until you hit rock bottom in your personal life journey, on a spiritual journey, when you hit rock bottom, that's when you know things are going to get better because it has to get better because it can't get worse. This is it. You've hit rock bottom. And they're kind of there now because of the sanctions worldwide placed on them, because of the regime, because the regime have been supporting all these terrorist groups across the Middle East. Syria is a very classic case of that were supporting these. There was attacks on American bases and ships because of this terrorist group funded by Iran, and Iran weren't holding back any secrets, saying, "Yes, we did it. This was us. We funded them. We trained them." It's the gateway for all of that terrorist training. Iran. It has to stop. So, in my educated opinion, Trump is sitting back and saying, "Okay, let's see how this plays out." But there will be some deeply grounded political agitators in these groups. Because if you think these students and these young people are just, all of a sudden go from studying engineering and electrical and physics to being political activists and organizing groups and taking key places out of action, such as the Ayatollah's personal palace. The CIA will be dropping in political agitators there. And I dare say a few other countries like China and Russia will all have their people on the ground there trying to control the way things are rolling out, because I think it's in everybody's best interest that the whole country is freed and a democracy is declared, because it would certainly stabilize the area if it did end up being back in the hands of the Shah and in a country that is under normal regulations and normal law, not the Shira law.
Absolutely, no, definitely. And we just have to see what's going on there.
Yeah, I pray for them. I pray for them. I really hope it comes off.
Overall, I just see it. What I see from a distance, when I look at it from a bird's eye view, all I see for the last 5-6 years now, since COVID, I just see system collapse.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a gradual collapse. Everything's being exposed. New systems or sovereign systems are emerging, and human consciousness is awakening. It's a gradual process. If you compare from now to 7-8 years ago, the conversations that you're having with some of the members of your family and friends or the guy down the coffee shop, they're really shifting in conversation. So that's what I see. But let's move on to Greenland and Trump.
Well, actually, let's just throw one thing in there, Nick, because this is the other thing that governments do. Look what happened with Keir Starmer's plan on digital ID for the UK. He scrapped it because, you know what? They come out with a plan. Everybody gets scared, pissed off, and angry. The energy starts building up. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. Then people all start saying, I'm not having it. No, we're not doing that. And then the government says, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Well, 1 minute, David. I sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think they scrapped it. They scrapped the mandatory.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's okay then, really, isn't it? If you want digital ID, it starts then and they make it mandatory is the problem.
Look, that was I think them saying that we're not making it mandatory anymore, from them saying it will be mandatory from the beginning, I think that was a planned psyop. Let me just explain why I think that.
Yeah.
It's to make you feel that, they're scrapping mandatory now. It's okay. They're not that excited about it. Well, from their point of view and from awareness, spirituality point of view, they can't make it mandatory, because if they force you to do it without your consent, but they force you to do it, it means that they've bypassed your spiritual freedom, your spiritual freedom. Sovereignty. You haven't agreed to it. Yeah. So in order to make you agree to it is you taking it, but making a spiritual consent to it. And the way they're going to do that is they're going to exclude you from society and say, well, you don't have to have it, but if you don't have it, you can't do this. A bit like the vaccine. They kind of pushed it, but if you don't have it, then you can't fly. So when people say, well, I actually do want to fly, so I'm going to take it, they've just made a spiritual contract,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now,
Signed up.
if they tied my hands and I said, no, I don't want it, and they just inserted me a digital ID under the skin, for an example, and I don't want it, that I haven't surrendered my soul to them. So it has to be a spiritual contract. You have to give consent. So their spiritual powers does not work. They do not hijack your free will unless you consent to it. That's why I think they haven't made it mandatory. It's all manipulation.
I agree with all of that. One of the things we're doing is creating this energy that comes off people that are living in fear, this lack that they need, and this way both sides get a win. Okay, it's not mandatory, it's not compulsory, but they're going to introduce it. But in my opinion, often these things come out and people overreact to it rather than just saying, just wait and see what happens. And it's the
Yeah.
same with across a lot of these situations. Let's just wait and see what happens in Iran. Everyone's going, nah, we've got to do this. Come on, let's go. Let's just wait and see what happens. So, yeah, I think it's a small win, but also there could be a lot of trickery around it, but also it could just, never happen as well. There's been a lot of situations where things were going to come out that actually they were only implemented for a little bit, and most people just reject it. And a lot of people are more educated about it now, and the spiritual information that people have, that they have absorbed and are embracing, is definitely forming this barrier protection. It's like a great big blanket of security, because once a large number of the general population get into that energy of saying no, get stuffed, we're not doing it, creates a huge energy. And it's like creating good luck or bad luck for yourself. And that energy of people rebelling against these things is pushing back against it. And you'll find that things like this is okay, it's not going to be mandatory. Now we're just introducing it. And it'll probably continue to be pushed out. We'll wait and see. But I like where you're going with the spiritual side of things. Yes, if you don't consent to it, you're not part of that consensus group. So
Yeah.
Greenland.
I just wanted to say as well that there are undercover white hats in deep state operatives that are pretending to be deep state. And what they're doing is they're pretending and working as a deep state player, but really they're white hats. And they leak information prematurely by accident or whatever, so that
Yeah.
people can figure out what's going on quicker than later so they can wake up. That is
Yeah.
going on as well. I've seen it.
Absolutely. And there are situations that are going to make people, wake up to the fact that, I'll give you an example. All these immigrants that are attacking people, it's now made people look at what these immigrants are doing and why they're not vetted and why they don't have, criminal background checks. What do you mean this guy was already out on a rape charge? He's been charged 3 times with rape, but he's still wandering around. So there are situations that are controlled that are generally there to force the public to wake up quicker. So you don't actually know what the great plan is. It's too complicated and way too many chess pieces involved. You've just got to wait it out and use your common sense and feel into it. Get the energetics there and feel into it. What do you feel is the real answer?
I like that. Absolutely. Let's talk about Greenland and Trump. What, you're saying, I heard that Trump's offering a lot of money for citizens.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, one of the favorite things I've heard is there is an enormous extraterrestrial craft that's been in Greenland since the last ice age, and the ice is slowly melting, and now they've found it, and it's about 3 miles wide or long. It's just enormous, and apparently it's some sort of weather control device. Now everybody is scrambling to try and get this device. And what makes me laugh about it is like all of a sudden, Greenland, who nobody gave a damn about, is now at the center of all of this international. Okay, we want it. You're not having it. We're keeping it. No, you're not. And actually, it's funny, it was named by Vikings as a trick. They called it Greenland to make everybody go there, and called Iceland to keep everybody away. Eric Leif, I think. Eric the Red, wasn't he the guy that he tricked it and named it Greenland when it was just covered in ice? And if you fly over it, I've looked out the window quite a few times on transatlantics. There's just nothing there. So, first number I heard that was thrown out at the population, whoever is holding a Greenlandish passport, was 100 grand. And then last night I was around the dinner table and said, no, he's offered them $1 million. I said, $1 million? What's the population of Greenland? So I don't know what's true, 100 or 1 million. It sounds like 100 would be probably a more realistic figure. Now, the Danish delegation that were in negotiations with Trump's team came out of the meeting smiling, very happy, because they'd obviously been given a number that they liked because there is a financial compensation plan in the way for Trump's offer. But what does he really want with Greenland, Nick? Now they're saying it's to control the shipping lanes so he can put a noose around the neck of China. Because one of the things that we forgot to cover, I'm just watching my incense doesn't catch fire. That's why I keep doing that. One of the things we didn't cover about Venezuela, Nick, is the fact that it's when it happened and Maduro was picked up, one of the first things that happened was China sent out an international envoy, a memo saying, what is your exposure to this situation? Because a lot of the Chinese oil comes from Venezuela. So if they're not going to get that oil, because Trump now controls it, they're really exposed on the petroleum that they need to keep the entire country going. It's because, like every country, they've only got a limited amount of oil that they've got on emergency rations, on stocks, but what their importation. So there's something about Greenland that Trump is trying to do to control the shipping lanes. But then this spiritual thing came up about, no, there's actually a 3 mile long UFO there that's been there since the last ice age, which is about 50,000 years ago. And they're all scrambling to get the technology. Now, what I find is interesting is the Danish delegation came out with smiles on their faces saying, well, that sounds like they're all going to get paid. So they're happy. But it's this NATO tie straightening, chest bumping, oh, NATO. And the fact that England haven't said anything about it. England have not made any official comment officially yet, because England is supposed to be America's number one ally.
Mm.
Now, if NATO and Europe are kicking off saying, well, listen, he can't do this. This is a sovereign nation, belongs to, well, Denmark is the country that really has any political ties to it. NATO, the truth is they really don't have any power, because who's going to go up against the military force of the USA? You think, Holland, Belgium, even Germany? Germany only has a tiny little fraction of coastline. They can't do anything like that. England are not going to do it. So the interesting point is, because Trump's done that, England need to make a stand who they're going to go with. And realistically, they'll probably have to stand with America, which then isolates them and ostracizes them from NATO, which is quite a clever thing that Trump's done, because he needs the UK as a major political power and a nuclear country to sort of stand by his side. So, where are they going to go with that? NATO won't have any force. The Belgians, who's going to fight them? The French? French have got no backbone. We know that. There's nobody in Europe that are going to do anything. The only person that would probably kick it off would be Germany. They would say, what really? What do they care? Why do they care? So that's that. That's what I've been getting whispers about Greenland. I'm not sure what you've been hearing about it.
Nothing. I mean, this is the first I've heard of it, to be honest, but we shall see what's going on. Yeah, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to.
No, you're a busy guy. I get it. You can't.
No, I do. I do a lot of reading, but I just haven't come across this one,
Oh yeah, it's kicking off. I mean, the memes are going everywhere. The people with the native, because they're all Inuits, really, which is kind of like, let's call them Eskimos for the sake of what you can imagine they look like. But the native people that have been living on the land there, so there's a lot of native blood there. So they're not in a very sophisticated nation, and most of their export, I don't know what they export. I think there's a little bit of oil up there. There's a little bit of greenery land, some foresting maybe. But it's a strategic location to control shipping lanes is why they're doing it, because that whole section up there, you can go right up to the Arctic Circle, and from there, you're into the Baltic regions and then into Russia. So it is an important strategic location for them. But there's something else going on in my gut feeling that we haven't been told about. Why does he want it? If it's this UFO thing, I mean, who knows? The Galactic Federation, people are talking about Ashtar, the High Commander. Everyone's sort of, you've got all of that extremist on the spiritual side saying the Galactic High Commander watching what's going on even in Iran.
I think all that's new age. I think it's new age to take awakening souls off the track from internal connection, and to remember that they are source in form embodied. I think that's what it is, because the change is in here. And that's when you realize, when you master your frequency and you realize that you are source, remembering, not believing, but remembering that we are God embodied. And that's what I think. I think it's a distraction. But David, it's been an absolute honor. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. And speaking of currencies, I'm going to leave a link below in the description for foreign currencies if anyone's interested. It's a company that we trust. And also, I want to say that because of YouTube's guidelines, we're not giving any financial health advice. It's just for entertainment and educational purposes only. We're not making any claims. Please do your own research. But David, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yes, guys, if you want to follow my work, you can go to mahoney.tv because our BitChute channels are restricted in the UK, but we both have Rumble. And a lot of my new work is now on my YouTube channel, which is called Talking with Mahoney. And the last couple of videos I've been talking about, we run out of time today, have been accessing the Akashic records. And I've had a really amazing journey on that, 3 sessions plus an initiation into it. Nick, we'll talk about it next time. But I've been documenting my journey, finding out some past life memories and some questions about my journey, I suppose, my entire life journey. So it's all on the YouTube channel, Talking with Mahoney. I'd love to see you there. Make sure you subscribe. And Nick, I'll see you in a couple of weeks, buddy. Thank you so much. I always like to chat with us. You always get the best out of me.
Well, thank you so much. And you too. Thank you, David. You take care.
Speak soon, kiddo. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
man.